important thing about team roping is catching. You want to know what sets the run up? A little louder. What sets the run up is your start. When you get a good start right there and get to that steer before you can get away, that's usually where the money's at. The run is set up by the start. So when you get a good start, then you want to set up your steps. Step 1 is my lane, my width, okay? I want to keep 2 feet from the right leg to the edge of that steer's left horn, okay? And then I can set that up from the box. So once I get my lane set up now from here, now all of a sudden, now what do I got to do? Now I got to get in position. And this is how I define my position. My position is how close I get, okay? And usually I want my horse's nose about right outside that steer's nose. So when I'm on my horse, I usually have to lean forward in order to find the top of my horse's head, right? So when I'm on the ground, I kind of have an idea. If I reach forward right here, this is where my horse's head's going to be, and I want my horse's nose. I want to think of the tip of this steer's tailbone as a wall that my horse doesn't pass. Okay, so I want to be able to have my horse where I can ride in my lane, where he's riding right up there to where his nose don't go past that steer's tailbone. Okay, horse's head's here. Now look at my throwing lane. That's position. Get to where you can catch this steer blindfolded from right here. This is when I'm going to rope so many in a row, this is where it's at. This is your foundation. So this is what sets up the win. Is 1 and 2. So what's step 1? What's that? Start. No, your start's what sets up the run. But I like where your head's at. But what's step 1? After you start, what's step 1? Absolutely right. And what's my lane? That's width. Exactly right. Exactly right. Now what's step 2? Position. And what's position? How close I get. My free throw line. Right. Exactly right. I want to be able to set this up. This is what I want engraved in your subconscious. Remember your subconscious? What you've done so many times right there in a row that you can do without thinking about it. Okay? So in that way, when I get my swing going, lane, all the way to my position, I want that right there, me and my horse, I want that to be ingrained in your subconscious. Okay? That's how you finish. All right, step 3. Step 3 is a little lengthy. Step 3 is the swing. Okay? Understanding the rope. All right, and heading, I call this my top strand. Okay? My top strand is dictated and felt by my index finger and my thumb. Okay? So when I go to deliver, my top strand has to be over the top of the steer's horns. Okay, that's a feel. See that top strand right there? See how it's my thumb and my index finger? All right. Then you got your back strand. Back strand, heel, and they call it the bottom strand. Okay, I call it the back strand, dictated by my pinky. The reason I call my back strand is this is what I want in the back of the steer's head right here, this back strand. Okay, that's all feel. Being able to feel where your front strand, back strand is. And then next is your tip. Tip is a feel, no different than being able to hit that dirt clod right there, or the tip of my rope right there, where I can just feel where it's at. Okay, it's a feel. How many times have you been able to walk up to the dummy or right up to the steer and you knew you were going to catch before you threw because you could feel it? That makes sense? Remember those times where it's like, oh man, you knew you were going to catch before you threw, but you wish you knew what that was or why or how, right? Usually that's feel. That's feel right there. Where you feel that top, bottom, tip, all the way around right there. That's usually why you know you're going to catch before you throw. That's the feel you're looking for. So what ties the two together is your lane and position. Your position is designed to catch from a certain spot, and that is dictated by your loop. Your loop size is designed to catch from a certain position, okay? So every loop is designed to catch from a certain spot. Okay, the amount of rope you have between your hands has a lot to do with how far the rope's going to travel before it opens up. So if I have a lot of spoke, a lot between my hands, the chances of my loop just keep traveling and go further before it opens up is very likely, okay? Usually that splits a lot of horns, okay? So when I have a loop that I know, when I usually start with my spoke, here's my spoke. When I get done feeding it, it's usually about a quarter of my loop. Some of you guys know math. Usually about 1.5 feet between my hands, okay? I like to have about 9 inches of coils, 10 inches 11, okay? So that way when I get in this position that I know this loop right here is going to go to a certain spot before it's going to open up, right where the horns are at. All right, a lot of spoke, a lot between my hands. But watch this. Past my position, Now see how it works? So your loop has a lot to do with where your position is, okay? So having the proper loop, proper rope between your hands, and then knowing where that position is key. It's gonna help a lot with being consistent. So that's how important step 3 is with the rope, understanding what the rope does.
All right, I like to start with the very basic things. That way, when I'm watching you later on and I ask you to do something, then we're speaking the same language. I know that you've heard me say this and that I'll know that you hopefully understand what I'm talking about. So our loop is an extension of our hand. Top strand, tip, bottom strand. Just like that. Top strand, tip, bottom strand. Whenever we swing, I like to think of things real simple. We don't want to swing with our hand way out in front. We don't want to swing with our hand way back here behind. I basically want to look just like this. I don't want my elbow any higher than my shoulder. And I want my hand basically above my elbow. And I want to make a circle with my swing. What happens is a lot of time when we take off after a cow or we have a target in mind, we'll chase the target with our hand. We'll get to pushing our hand out at the target. Then when we push out, we pull straight back, and then we get to going in straight lines. It's not a straight line this way, and it's not a straight line this way. It's round. It'd be like having a soccer ball or a basketball, something like that, right here off of your right eye. Hand above your elbow, going in a circle. And that's how we build momentum. That's how we build power in our swing. It's not moving your shoulder way back. It's not like necessarily throwing a ball. If we throw a ball and we rear back further, then we can throw it further. Our loop is not like throwing a ball in that sense. We have to build momentum and build power in our swing to deliver our rope where we want it to go. And we're not necessarily throwing it, we're guiding it to where we want it to go. So when I swing my rope, what I'm talking about, see my elbow here, no higher than my shoulder. It's round. I'm not worried about turning it over a whole lot and being able to make this big, open, slow swing. I'm more worried about making a circle above my elbow so that I have a nice flat swing. And then when I deliver, then the principles of how we deliver a ball or how we deliver something to a target, then that's where it comes into play with how we get our loop to go where we want it to go. So the way we control the bottom strand and the top strand is with where our elbow is. And if we're going to deliver a ball, if I'm going to throw a ball to you, I point my elbow at the target and I deliver the ball straight to you. If I'm going to shoot a basketball at the hoop, I line my elbow up with the target and I deliver it straight to it. That's how we deliver to the legs. That's how we deliver to the head. That's how we get our loop to go exactly where we want it to go. We're swinging here. It's in a circle. I'm going to line my elbow up with the target, and then I deliver straight to the target. What that does is, when I move my elbow in position, that also gets my loop in position, where the bottom strand is on the bottom, top strand's on the top, and then I can deliver to where I place my tip and make it go where I want it to go. The tip is going to go where we're swinging it. So we want to rule out having any real steep angles in any direction. If I'm swinging at a real steep angle like this, then I'm gonna drive my tip straight down in the ground, and it's not gonna move through to build the trap that I want. If I'm swinging at this angle like this, then my tip is gonna move and go that way because that's the angle I'm swinging it at. And I wanna be able to come right out of my swing, come right to the ground, and I want my tip to move through so that it builds the trap that I want. So one really important thing, we get the idea heeling that we want to get all of our loop in front of the legs. And so when you deliver your rope, if you're coming here and then you're pushing everything forward because you think that's gonna help your loop go in front of the legs, then you're killing the momentum of your swing and you're making it to where your loop can't work because now you're delivering it forward. Your bottom strand is gonna shoot forward and the top strand is gonna go forward. So what we have to remember is, in order to make the loop build the trap that we want, this part of the loop right down in front of your eye, which is right down there, that's the part of the loop that hits the leg. So when I'm swinging and I deliver my loop to the leg, I want to make sure that this part down in front of the eye is the part that hits the leg. And then ultimately what that does is it lets me know that most of my loop is going to stay behind the legs. The momentum and the power that I build in my swing as I deliver it down is what's going to make it hit there. That's what's going to make my tip go through, my bottom strand's on the ground, and that's what makes that trap that I want to see. That's what I want my picture to look like, right? After I win the roping. So what we got to remember is when we're swinging, we're not trying to throw ahead to try to throw our loop in front of the feet. We're placing it on the ground and we're letting the momentum of our swing, that's what carries the tip through, and that's what makes our loop travel and open up to build that trap that we want. Then, depending on your position to the cow, how far away you are, if you're further away, that would make your loop do more like this or more like a handshake. The closer you are, the more it would be elbow in line with the target, and then you're gonna come down and you're gonna turn your loop more like that to get it to stand up and be open, and for this part of the rope to hit the leg and for that tip to travel through so that you can catch. There you go. Yes, sir.
Get him up, get him up, get him up. You guys are going to be watching a lot of runs on social media once we get done with this school. And you'll be able to start seeing where some of those guys are riding in their lane. Or you're going to be able to start seeing where some of them guys are way out here, way out here. That's good. Now you're able to start seeing it. You'll be able to see it when somebody can rope further past their position, or when someone overruns their position and creates a hard shot. Same way with the swing. You can see when someone starts running up there, when they're getting close, where they drop their angle. And then you can see the further back they are, where they get the angle right there where their rope can travel. You'll be able to start seeing right there when guys score good, and when their horse goes with their hand, and they're able to get their rope up and they're ready to rope when they get there. Or you'll be able to start seeing guys where their horse takes off and they're pulling, and then they get all the way to their position and they're getting the rope up and everything's happening, and they're always one step behind the run. Okay, those are all things you're going to be able to see. That's how you grow.
Tonight, special night, dealing with forgiveness. Matthew 6 and 14. Y'all ready? For if you forgive men when they sin against you, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. Verse 15. Gentlemen, Jesus said this. This is in red. This is not Ray. It's not my opinion. If you disagree with what I'm about to read, understand, take it up with Jesus. Don't come ask me, because I can't change what he said. But if you do not forgive men their sins, your Father will not forgive your sins. Can I ask you a question? Do you think that forgiving is important? Say it again. Yes. I do too. Matter of fact, I think forgiving is unbelievably the most important thing. Could you imagine Jesus as he was hanging on the cross? Now, some of you need to understand what the cross was about, because some of you have been shown a picture your whole life of Jesus hanging on this cross, and there's 3 little spots of blood, one on both hands and some on his feet. 4, and some running down from the crown. And that's how he died. No, sir, no, ma'am. Young men, young women, look at me. I'm fixing to tell you truth. Years ago, I did cardiac and vascular ultrasound for a living. And I'll never forget, I look at people's hearts, right, and their arteries. So one day they called me. They said, we need you to the 3rd floor. We have a patient in distress. We need you to come to an echo. We think that he has a pleural effusion, which means lungs, fluid in his lung cavity. He had cancer. So I ran up, and I'll never forget, when I walked in this door, there was this little old black man. He was about 79 years old. It's just as teensy as you've ever seen. Little bitty old skinny thing. And he was sitting straight up in the bed, and he had a full non-rebreather oxygen mask on, pumping 100% O2 to him. And when I walked through the door, this is what he looked like. And he looked at me, and when I walked through there, he was, you know what he was saying to me? He was going, please help me. I can't breathe. Something's wrong. I can't breathe. And I took my probe and I put it on his chest, and when I looked in, all of a sudden there was all this fluid, and there was this little bitty thing, and it was his lung, and the fluid had compressed his lungs so much that it couldn't expand. He couldn't breathe. Now you say, Ray, why are you telling me about a little black man in Lubbock, Texas? Because when Jesus hung on the cross, he didn't die from bleeding out. Jesus suffocated to death, and the Bible says that he couldn't die at just any time. He had to die at the appointed time. So when he hung there, fluid began to build up in his lungs. You say, Ray, how do you know that? Well, it's real simple. I'm pretty smart. The Bible says that they stuck a spear in him, and blood and water flowed. Where did the water come from? Because that's exactly what the fluid was in his chest cavity. But Christ fought for every breath so he could die at the appointed time. Now catch this. And he still had the audacity to look up and said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Now, can I be honest with you? If I'd have been Jesus and my daddy was God the Father, and I had some clout and I had some strings, I'd be like, forgive them all except that sucker over there that tied me to that post and whooped me like a dog, and them boys that pushed me down while I was carrying that cross up that hill, and then them others that spit on me, and the ones that gambled over my clothes, and then them others that nailed me to this tree, and then the others that laughed when they dropped it into the ground, and every part of me flinched because I was nailed to it. Forgive everybody else but not them, because they don't deserve it. No, sir. No, ma'am. That's not what he said. He said, forgive them. Because Jesus knew that the most powerful thing that you and I could ever do is to forgive.
I know when I come here, I just get full of God. I get full, refilled. I know we're supposed to do that weekly, whatever, reading, going to church and all of that, but it's different coming here and feeling the Spirit of God move, whether we're up there where we eat and where the teaching goes on, or whether we're down here sharing our lives and what we know about roping and how there's so many things in the Bible and biblically that transfer right over into our roping and how we do things and the way we work at it. And so I'm overwhelmed every time I come and do one. And I was blessed to be a part of the very first one where me and David Key, the kids wrote in essay papers and we had to read them and sift through them and try to pick out and pray about it. And I'll never forget that experience to now where not one person that sent their application in, or however you say it, no one got turned down. They just said, yes, come on, we'll give you a place to stay. We'll provide a place for your horse. We're gonna feed everybody. We're gonna take care of everybody. And then Ray Perryman comes and preaches and teaches and
knocks it out of the park.
And just does such a great job every time we show up. And so I just feel overwhelmed and blessed to get to be a part of it.
I was overwhelmed just how great this place is, and you could feel God's presence, because I don't think I was on the understanding of how we were going to be able to pull this thing off, and it was just the people here was just awesome. It was amazing. When you come here, you can feel God's presence. You can feel His hands coming in and hugging you and loving on you. And for so many kids, that's what they're looking for. And so many parents, maybe they're looking for that too. They're looking, I've got responsibility over this child. What do I feel like is going to be the best way to guide this kid to. Everyone wants to have a world champion kid or an NFR, that's great. Whether or not my kids make the NFR, win a world title or not, that's not my concern. That's their dream. I'll help them as much as I can. I want them to know how life works. And so I want them to be around the best biblical instructors and the best way to know God and find God and what He truly is. Because in my opinion, the devil has done a great job of deceiving people to where they don't understand who God is and who Jesus is. And I can't say it enough. And so when you come here, the line is drawn. Here's where Satan's going to help you and here's where he's at, and here's God's voice. And to me, that's if I'm raising kids, that's what I'm looking for. That's what I want them to know. And that way, when they do go to college, they have an understanding and a foundation themselves to what's right and what's wrong. And to me, this is where it's at.
We as instructors are supposed to impart what we have to the kids, but then to be able to come in and dealing with moms and dads and the kids, it comes back to us, and we're blessed to be a part of it. And I feel so full of the Word and God when I leave here. And then to see, a lot of times it could be a kid getting changed or something changing on the inside of a kid that might change a parent. The platform of us roping good is what gets us here. It gets these kids excited. Hey, we want to go learn from them. But then what God can do with it once we get here, that's the special thing.
When he came in Sunday morning, Easter smelled like Friday night. His eyes had burned like fire each time he looked up to the light. And he came up to the altar before the preaching ever starts, laid a bottle on the pew beside a visitation card. Then he looked up to the heavens and he said, if I do this anymore, Lord, I'll be dead. He laid it down, let it go. Threw his hands up in surrender surrender to the Lord. He lived his life on the run. Now he's taken all his chances, and now he's done. He laid it down. Let it go. When she came down from the choir loft, the preacher stopped and stared. He never dreamed that he'd look up and see her standing there. Then she reached into her purse and grabbed a tiny plastic bag. She laid it on the altar with a needle that she had. And she looked up to the heavens and she said, if I do this anymore, Lord, I'll be dead. She laid it down, let it go. Threw her hands up in surrender to the Lord. She lived her life on the road. Now she's taken all the chances, and now she's done. She laid it down. Let it go. Well, before I stop this song and walk away, don't put off till tomorrow what you need to do today. Lay it down, let it go. Throw your hands up in surrender to the Lord. 'Cause he don't care where you've been. It's time you finally gave your life to him. Lay it down. Let it go. Let it go. See, tonight you'll have the opportunity to bring some stuff to God and to simply lay it down and let it go. Amen. Y'all put your hands together for Jesus. Tell me what this camp's meant to you.
This camp has been like, it's a party, but it's time to go to work at the same time. Like, you can have fun. It's about having fun, but at the same time, we're all here to get better. And it's been like a good place where it's kind of like, it's gotten my confidence built up a little bit more. I mean, I've always had confidence, but this place has really turned it up, and it's helped me a lot in my roping.
Dude, that reminds me of your hair, like business in the front and party in the back, baby. Come on, I like it.
Well, it's my second clinic, and once I went to the first one, I decided I wanted to come back from the second one. It was so good. And the second one has just been phenomenal. Corey has worked with us so good and so well.
Swing has got a lot better. Yeah, I'm not missing as much, but you still get a little better. But right now, it's going well. It's going good.
This is my first clinic, and I felt like Corey's done a good job with us explaining and just doing a good job.
you a lot with the things you're doing wrong in roping, and the church services are fun.
Yeah! Good job, guys!
Tell me one thing that you have learned that you're going to go home and work with on your roping.
When you're getting close up to the steer, lean your rope a little bit so you can get the left horn and the right horn.
Yeah, put a little angle to it, huh? How would you describe the church services here?
One, you tell good stories when you do it, and I like learning about the Bible.
I like your mom and dad already. How about you, Catboy? What's one thing you describe?
They're fun to go to, and you're pretty funny.
Funny looking, huh? Tell me how Mr. Charlie, Mr. Crawford, how has his instruction helped you? I mean, do you feel like it was something that lifted you up and is going to take you to the next level?
I think it did because he helped me with my swing. You know, my swing was like just horrible, and when he told me to flatten it out and everything, I think it did help me.
What has the church service part of this deal, what has that meant to you? Is it something you've enjoyed, or just tell us kind of what you think of it?
Well, I do enjoy the church because it helps me, like Corey said, that he's never nervous, and I think it helped me, like, you know, not to get nervous, like, even though people are watching you and everything, you know, you shouldn't get nervous.
I really like it. I don't really know what to say about it, but it's really cool. I like meeting Corey, and Corey has a bunch to say, and you can learn a bunch from him.
Awesome. How about you?
I think it's pretty cool. I didn't think I was good at roping, and then I realized I got better at it.
I do think it's pretty neat how they break it down for us one-on-one, and I can definitely see improvements from the first few times I roped the dummy to the live steers I roped today.
I think it's really cool how they come and, like, talk to you and, like, break it down, like how they explain it to you.
You meet a lot of new people, and you learn a bunch in the roping pen, but also you learn a bunch about Jesus.
You learn everything here. It's mostly like, it's fun.
Even how to smile, huh?
I almost didn't come because I've not team roped since October, and my sister and mom talked me into coming, and I was nervous, but we get out here and you start singing and we start roping, and it's very welcoming and it's very fun to be here, and I'm glad I came now.
When you go up there while he's singing, it's so amazing. Like, you learn a lot about Jesus, and when you get down here to the roping pen, it's like I went from not being able to catch a steer, from catching them back to back to back.
The Bible says this, that if we call upon the name of the Lord, you shall be saved. On your profession of faith, we baptize you in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Are you telling me and everybody in this place that you honestly believe that Jesus Christ lives in you and forgive you of your sins?
Yes, sir.
And on your profession of faith, be baptized in the name of the Father, the Son,